call, please.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Present.
Councilman Abbott.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
Here.
County Attorney Genesi.
Present. All right, and then we have the March 4th, 2021 town board minutes that were submitted for approval. I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye. Okay, we have a public hearing this evening as our first formal agenda item. Since this was posted in the Webster Herald 8 days ago and was also on the website with instructions on how to put in any of your public comments by email, we did not get any. Karen, I think, has the phone line on the bottom of the screen right now, which is 872-7011. If anybody from the public would like to call in with any comments in the public hearing is about to enact a local law permitting a town engineer to reside anywhere in Monroe County or in an adjoining county within the state of New York. I don't anticipate that there will be, doesn't seem like one of the most controversial public hearings of all time, and that's probably why we didn't get any emails in over the last 8 days. Any?
No, this is something we've batted back and forth, and I think it's good that we're bringing it to a closure and moving it forward.
Yes.
Because we want to hire the best person possible.
Amen. Well, unless anybody has a problem inside of the room with me closing the public hearing, I'm inclined to close the public hearing. Now, with that...
And there is no one present, just so that the public
Right.
understands that.
There's nobody from the public present. That starts, and I think it's been advertised on our April 1st, our next full town board meeting. And I would just say for anybody watching, it's open to the public, but there are certainly COVID restrictions signing up for the meeting. So next up is the actual resolution of that being a law of permitting a town engineer to reside anywhere in Monroe County or in an adjoining county. I'm going to assume, Attorney Genesi, better safe than sorry, this is one I probably should read.
You could probably read the law, that would be fine.
Sure. That's what I meant. Okay, so this motion, resolution of 2021 of the Webster Town Board enacting a local law permitting a town engineer to reside anywhere in Monroe County or in an adjoining county within the state of New York. At a regular meeting of the Webster Board of the Town of Webster, Monroe County, New York, held at the Town Board Meeting Room on the 18th day of March 2021, there were present Supervisor Flaherty, Councilman Dean, Councilman Abbott, Councilwoman Cataldi. Follows resolution was offered. Whereas the town board has authority pursuant to Article 2 of the New York State Municipal Home Rule Law to adopt and amend local laws consistent with the New York State Constitution and general state laws in relation to their property affairs or government in relation to the powers, duties, qualifications, number, and other terms and conditions of employment of their officers and employees. And whereas it is in the interest of the town to expand the pool of applicants for the important position of town engineer or engineer for the town, and to permit the town board to be able to appoint those qualified persons of their choice, regardless of whether they are residents of the town of Webster or other political subdivisions. And whereas it is both in the public interest and required by law that a public hearing be held to consider that proposed addition to the Webster Town Code, and whereas it is both in the public interest and required by law that a public hearing be held to consider the amendment of the town of Webster's residency requirements for certain appointed positions to increase and improve the pool of potential qualified applicants for such positions. And whereas a notice of this public hearing was published in the Webster Herald on March 10th, 2021, and posted on the town bulletin board at 1000 Ridge Road, Webster. Whereas a public hearing on the proposed new local law was held in the Webster Town Board on March 18th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. and all interested persons having an opportunity to be heard at the public hearing. And whereas a short form environmental assessment, EAF, for the proposed action has been prepared and has been submitted to the town board and reviewed by the town board. And whereas it is in the public interest to enact the aforesaid law, now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby determines that based upon information in the EAF and other available information, the proposed action is designated a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, seeker, as it will not have a significant effect on the environment within the meaning of seeker and involve official acts of ministerial nature involving no exercise of discretion and routine or continuing agency administration and management does not require the preparation of environmental impact statement, and therefore no further review under the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8 is necessary. And 2, that a local law be adopted to establish the position of town engineer and to set forth the residence requires, therefore, such local law to be designated as local law number 1 of 2021. Being enacted by the town board of the Webster, New York as follows. This article is entitled a local law to establish the position of town engineer and residency requirements, therefore. The article is adopted pursuant to Municipal Home Rule Law 10, Subchapter 1-I and -2I, K, Subchapter 1, that grants to local governments the authority to enact local laws regarding the qualifications of local officers. Furthermore, this article recognizes that the state legislature has made numerous amendments to public officers law and town law, expanding the residency requirements of various appointed public officers and officials in the towns within the state of New York, thereby rendering public officers law and town law special laws with respect to any appointed town officer. Supersession. The article shall supersede any provisions of the town law 20 and 23 and their applications to the offices of the town engineer in the town of Webster. Residency requirements. Number 1, the person holding the office or position of town engineer in the town of Webster need not be a resident nor an elector of the town of Webster at the time of appointment, provided, however, that such person shall reside in the county in which such town is located or adjoining county within the state of New York. Number 2, in the event the office position of town engineer is deemed to be a competitive class position by Civil Service Commission, the appointee shall become a resident and elector of the town of Webster within 6 months of such permanent appointment from the appropriate civil service list. Number 3, this local law shall take effect immediately upon the appropriate filings as required by law. Number 4, the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to take such action as may be necessary to carry this resolution into effect. That is my motion.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Catali?
Aye.
And just to put a nice ribbon around this, I would like to make a motion to have the town board appoint Mary Harrington as the Webster Town Engineer with an effective starting date on or before Monday, April 19th, 2021.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Catali?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Whew. That's a lot of talking even for me, Patty. I will say this, Bill, back when you went to engineering school, if there were 30 people in your class, how many women were in your class?
3.
I think this is great that, you know, really to tell you the truth, when we went through the application process, we narrowed it down really to the two most qualified applicants for the job were 2 women. And congratulations to Mary, and I gotta tell you, I'm really excited for her starting. I think she's gonna do a great job. All right, moving along, normal course of business. Barry, I think it was you in with the bills this week.
Yes, I did the bills this week, and I found them all in order, and I would move that we pay them as submitted by the finance director.
Second.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I make a motion that we approve the prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Catali?
Aye.
Okay, next up, and this is where I wish I had a bullhorn or a...
Hey, Walt!
You got a bullhorn sitting right here.
Hey, Walt, come on in.
I'll tell you, I don't know what we're gonna do without you, Barry. Very effective. And just for everybody at home, the reason why Barry had to yell is that we are socially distancing. So we had Walt, who is here for the next agenda item, the referral, request for rezoning of the lands at 230 Salt Road from R2 to R3 to the planning board. And Walt was sitting out in the lobby, which has got to be, I don't know, 100 feet from where you're sitting, Barry?
Not too far away.
Yeah, okay. Well, you heard him, so. Walt, by all means.
Okay, good evening. I'm Walt Baker with DSB Engineers. With me tonight is Mr. Richard Battisti of Forest Creek Equity Corporation. Forest Creek Equity Corporation is contract vendee for the request to rezone the application from R2 to R3 for the two properties totaling 69.5 acres on the east side of Salt Road across from Morley Way, presently owned by Nancy Schwenzer and William and Martha Smith. The map I posted on the board and submitted with our application. We're proposing to call the subdivision Aberdeen Estates. And, like I mentioned, we did submit two plans for the project. As the board will recall, the owners of the property, Schwenzer and Smith, received R2 zoning of the property from large lots in 2018, but not the development for cluster development which they were pursuing. Over the past 3 years, they have tried to sell the property as R2 without any luck. Our client, Forest Creek Equity, wishes to propose a single-family residential subdivision under the R3 conventional zoning, not cluster development, with the same number of lots that could be built with the R2 zoning, which would be 79 lots. We did submit, like I mentioned, the two plans, one showing the R3, which I posted here, that you can see is rendered, and also the R2 plan, which basically is justification showing how many lots we can get under the R2 conventional zoning, which is 79. We have included both the plans, like I mentioned, and the difficulty with the R2 zoning is the minimum lot size is 28,000 square feet versus the R3 zoning, which is 22,000 square feet. The lot width for both the R3 and the R2 is still 100 feet wide, and we're going to maintain the 100-foot minimum lot width of 100 feet. Now, with the rezoning, we can offer the community flexibility in lot size, road alignment, and allow us to preserve some of the trees on the east side of the property. I'm sure you've studied the map, and you can notice on the east side of the property there are some mature trees along the eastern property line. And with the R3 zoning, we're able to take the lot depth, which would be 220 feet deep versus 280 feet deep, and preserve the trees and have deeper lots actually on the east side. The lots that we're proposing on the east side would be in excess of 320 feet. So we can preserve the trees and keep those in the backyard. We do understand that the code for the town board permits a referral of this application to the planning board. Basically, with the rezoning, the town board has the permission to submit it to the planning board for review and recommendation back to the town board before petitioning for the rezoning officially with public hearing. This application was before, basically, the owners of the property 3 years ago had this application in front of the town board, And at that time, it went to the planning board, did receive the review and recommendation in June of 2018 that the planning board would be in support from the large lot to R2 or R3 zoning. If that would still be valid, that would help us in our time frame to move forward a little bit quicker and avoid going to the planning board, even though once we do get the rezoning, if we get it, we still have to go for subdivision site plan approval with the planning board. Well, basically, with this referral tonight, we would ask the town board if it could possibly be viewed that the recommendation from the planning board in 2018 is still valid.
I looked at you, now Charlie, I just had a conversation with you today, and I want to not talk out of both sides of my mouth. I said that I don't practice law, I have lawyers practice law, right?
Correct.
So, I'm going to tell you my non-legal interpretation of this. Is that, I agree with Walt that there is a letter here that the planning board in mid-18, so almost 3 years ago.
Correct.
It'll be 3 years in June.
Pretty close.
Sent over and said that they were recommending that it could be R2 or R3. And at that time, it was decided to go to R3. I'm
Correct.
sorry,
R2.
Unless you tell me that there's some statute of limitations that that letter is still valid and we can bypass the rest of the process.
Well, it's not, obviously it's up to the board. It does say may permit it to go. Standard practice has always been that they do review. By they, I mean the planning board. The application is similar in the sense that the application, I believe, last time was from R2 to R3 also, correct? Or was it?
No.
Was it? No, it was large lot to
lot.
R2.
Yep.
Large lot to R2.
And then they wanted to do a cluster development, was their goal was to do cluster development, which the planning board will not support. And we're not attempting to get cluster development, we're asking for R3 zoning, and they were in support of R2 and R3, so they
Yeah, I
stated
don't have
that.
that letter in front of me, I can't judge, I don't know if the
I
town
see
board
it.
does. If they can judge that if the facts are the same or similar enough that you can waive that effectively,
Yeah.
but if not, then you probably should refer it.
I only have, and believe me, if I understand this properly,
The
this
last,
is, no, I see the letter.
Dan, the
but
letter's the last
This
page.
is
of it.
R3,
That is R2,
this is R2,
correct,
sorry. And this is the concept for R3,
correct, that's what we'd prefer to do, correct.
which is a whole lot nicer than this one, I just might add.
Well, that's a conventional justification
Yeah.
plan on how many
Yeah.
lots you could conceivably get with the R2 lot sizes.
The only reason I would say that perhaps we don't want to try to skip over any of the the process here is that the letter from the planning board is proposed by Sunset Farm subdivision.
Yeah.
So I want to be sure that we're granting the rezone for the right people. Would that be an issue if we were to try to skip a step?
I don't think we should skip a step.
I don't think so
I don't think so either.
I don't know why we're even going that direction.
Well, we're not going, Walt asked the question,
Yeah, okay.
and I will tell you that
No,
public hearing's over, so
This isn't a public hearing on this.
no, this is not. Like I said, my non-legal, and we've had some other cases here recently that are kind of similar, that just because governance of this town said something 2, 4, 6, 7 years ago, if it didn't move forward, I think we've set a precedent that, well, it's a dynamic world. We can't go back and just, unless there's something legally, and I get what you're saying, Charlie, the board has some flexibility on this, but, well, I hope you understand, I think it would be a bad precedent. Some of the other cases that we've dealt with is that when the planning board looked at the situation back in 2, 4, 6 years ago, they approved something or they referred something. Then I never went forward. Well, then the world developed around it. And now looking at it 2, 4, 5 years later, like, well, no, we don't want to do that now. And I don't think that's going to be the case with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where do we draw the line? Does somebody come in with a letter from 4 years ago, from 6 years ago, from 8 years ago? Where do we draw the line? And I know the planning board recently, and I say recently within the last 10 years, they started to overtly write into their template approvals substantial groundbreaking within 1 year, because I had heard, and of course I'm still relatively
Substantial
new,
construction within 1 year, right.
that people were taking their planning board approvals and coming back and saying, hey, I'm here. It's been 7 years, but I'm ready to go. I want to get my pre-construction meeting. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you know, that planning board approval was from 7 years ago. So I don't know.
I would recommend that we send it to the planning board for final review and send a recommendation back to us to go to R3, simply because originally this was large lot. Then you went to R2, now you want to go to R3. It's not necessarily in the nature of what the town comprehensive plan wanted to do. So that's why I think it should go back to the planning board for review.
That's another variable to this. I mean, we're piling on now, but I think it sounds like there's a consensus that we are going to have to follow the referral back to the planning board. Now, I will say this, you know, we've made great efforts, Josh, I think, to try to come up with a customer service model to streamline the process and not kick applicants around from board to board like it's a tennis game for 9 months. So, when is the next planning board meeting?
April 6th, I believe.
Okay. Now here's one for you, Charlie. If we go to the April 1st meeting, our board meeting,
Yes.
on the assumption that the planning board is going to refer this back to us, and I think they will, on April 6th, could we set a public hearing for April 15th?
If you think you're going to, sure, you can always set the public hearing, and the assumption being that you're going to have a report and a recommendation.
And if the planning board doesn't refer it
You
back
could-
to us, then we cancel the public hearing.
Correct, or just
That make
adjourn.
sense, Walt?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yes, understood. Yeah.
Which you know means you'll be back in front of us at tax day.
Yeah. They postponed it.
They postponed it a month.
Did they? Oh, that's right. Traditional tax day. I don't know, is this a motion thing?
Yes.
Refer it?
Yes.
We have to refer it to the planning board.
We do? There's a lot of paperwork here tonight, isn't there, Dolly? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion for the Webster Town Board to refer to the planning board an application to consider amending the town's zoning map and zoning ordinance, Chapter 225 Code of the Town of Webster by rezoning 69.6 acres of land located on the east side of Salt Road from R2 residential to R3 residential. Let me read this one. At a regular board meeting of the Town of Webster held on March 18th.
Tom?
Yes.
I don't think you have to go any further.
Unless you'd like to.
Oh, I would really like to not.
You don't have to.
You've made your resolution.
Second?
Thank you.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Capaldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Right. Very good.
So we'll, April 6th?
Yes. We'll make application next week for the planning board and get the application in prior to the cutoff date. So we'll be on for the April 6th planning board meeting. In the meantime, we'll prepare the documents that we need for the town board for the public hearing on the 15th. If in fact the planning board doesn't recommend the rezoning, then we'll send a letter pulling our application for the town board on the 15th.
All right, thanks, Walt.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
So at some point, I'm gonna figure out which of these resolutions need to be read, chapter and verse, right to the end.
It takes a while. It does.
Okay. Son of a gun. Well, thank you. All right. Oh, good, you didn't have to yell, Barry. Next up. Next up is a review of an application for special use permit to allow a permitted use greater than 5,000 square feet in an LC-2 district. And we have two gentlemen here to present that.
Hi, my name is Steve Schlegel. I'm the property owner at 1650 Ridge Road. And Al, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. So the proposal is to build a 60 by 112, 18-foot tall pole barn, and then also have a lean-to on the side of it. The lean-to will be done next year after the building is up, but we'll all go through on the first approval, hopefully.
Right now, we're in the process of doing a boundary and topographical survey for the property, and we'll be creating a concept for submittal on Monday, showing it. Perk tests have been done, soils are great, so we just gotta work through it.
Does anybody have any questions, comments from the board? Charlie?
I have a question, yes. Has this, Al, has this gone to the planning board yet?
No.
Okay.
That's what the concept is. We're gonna go into the concept on the
Fine.
22nd, Monday.
All right. I would suggest if, in scheduling, if you decide to schedule the public hearing, which I'm going to assume you're going to do, that you do it enough in the future to give the planning board a chance to do its proper review. Because there will be a public hearing scheduled, but it'll be after the planning board makes its review and approvals, if any.
Do you have a suggestion on how much time that should be?
I don't know, it's not, I mean, I'm guessing it's not a complicated matter. And my understanding is the planning board is not overwhelmed right now with applications, so it may be fairly quick.
And you said you plan to submit that for the next planning board meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
That's going to the concept, so it's going to the town board, planning board, zoning board, planning board, and then back to here for the final special use permit was my understanding when I had talked to Josh. So
Sounds
those are
like you got all the
5
steps in order.
Hopefully.
Okay, well, based on that sequence, I'm not even sure when we would, scheduling a public hearing. So that sequence was here, planning board, zoning board, planning board,
Yes.
back here?
So it was here for the initial approval to present it to the planning board. The planning board was the concept, and then it was gonna go to the zoning board for a rear setback variance, back to the planning board for the preliminary final all in one, and then once they were to okay that, then it would come back here to issue the final special use permit, was my understanding.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's how the code reads.
So we're not really here to set a public hearing right
No,
now, we're here to just
here's
review
the
this.
concept to say it's okay to go to the planning.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes. So we don't have to set that public hearing at this point.
Okay. So this is more a resolution to refer it over to the planning board.
You know, what we're looking for tonight is encouragement, nothing more than that.
That's right, we don't have to do a resolution.
I think you should carry on and get that to the planning board. Does anybody else have any comments?
I'm with her, it's not a resolution, just go to the planning board first.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how quickly you get back here. Planning board,
But thank
zoning
you.
board, planning board, back here.
It's gonna be,
I'm gonna make this guy work really hard.
it's gonna be 2 months.
2 months.
He'll do it for you. But
All
thank
right.
you for coming in and showing it to us. I
Thanks.
appreciate the heads up on it.
Thank you.
So that is null and void. No. Okay. Alrighty. So I'll just make,
That wasn't so bad.
no, The throw up was that there was some, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We adapt on the fly, right? So no action, I'll call it just encouragement. And that planning, Z, P, back to us. Okay. All right, well, next up, I think, is this for 183 Webster Road? 183 Webster Road? You come on in. Next up is to see if we'll grant an approved license agreement for the property at 183 Webster Road. And I take it, are you Mr. Jacobs?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Bob. Shoot away.
Does everyone have a picture of the drawings provided?
Yes, we do. I don't have one with the name of the surveyor or the date of the map. I've advised Mr. Artuzo that I'm going to need that. If the town board does grant it, I'm going to need a larger size map, or at least a map with that information on it, okay?
Okay. I'll see if, we just purchased
I
the
mean,
house in
this may
April.
be sufficient for them, but not for me in preparing the documents that I'm going to have to prepare, so.
Okay. So you will need with the architect or the surveyor.
Oh, I see. He's in the sanitary sewer, he's in the
Yes,
Yeah.
it's in these, there's on the back page is a letter from Art.
Okay, this is basically for a fence for a backyard. It's going to be basically a combination of a black or bronze picket fence from the front, roadside, and then black chain link from the rest, 4 foot tall, 3 gates. It will not be on the property line, will be offset a couple of feet. So, and basically it's just for dogs and kids. Containment.
Yep. And just, if I understand correctly, so this, even if we approve this license agreement, is it got the proper setbacks?
Yeah, with a 4-foot fence, you're allowed to put it right up to the property line.
Okay, so it wouldn't have to go to the ZBA after us, it's
Correct.
really, this
Just
is
here,
the be-all and end-all, either
just
we,
here to grant the license
Yep.
agreement.
okay,
Yeah, my understanding is because I'm going over the easement, and my understanding from Art Patron was that if they ever need to dig it up, it's just my responsibility to put it back.
Yeah, there's the letter from Art on the back page.
Yep. a letter from Art or a letter from Highway, when it's a, drainage, it's kind of the golden ticket, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments by the board before,
No?
No, this is fairly standard.
Yes, this is how it's supposed to happen,
Yeah.
so that's good.
yeah? And I, propose the Webster Town Board to grant a limited relief from an established easement at 183 Webster Road. I am gonna read this one. And then if I remember correctly, once we vote on it, we hand the baton to Charlie for how it's gonna go from here.
I'll take care of
Because
it.
there's a process, Bob.
Okay.
Not too bad, but here. So, at a regular meeting of the Webster Town Board on March 18th, the following resolution was offered. Whereas a 15-foot wide sanitary sewer easement was granted to the town of Webster as shown in the map as recorded in Monroe County Clerk's Office, Library 264 of maps, page 13, and along the rear boundary of the property at 183 Webster Road, town of Webster, and whereas Robert Jacobs is the owner of the property located at 183 Webster Road, town of Webster, tax ID number 050.01-2-4, and whereas Robert Jacobs has applied to erect a combination black chain link an aluminum picket fence with 2 3-foot gates, 10-foot double gate, and 2 5-foot gates upon and within the aforesaid easement in conformance with the height and setback requirements as set forth in the code of the town of Webster, and that in the event that the placement and or height of such fence is not in such conformance, such fence shall not be constructed unless the proper variances are received from the town of Webster zoning board of appeals. And whereas the applicant has requested relief from the Webster town board to permit the aforesaid black chain link and aluminum picket fence and gates to exist upon and encroach within same easement, and whereas the town of Webster has the authority to grant the relief requested and the public good will not be harmed thereby, now therefore it be resolved, number 1, pursuant to application of Robert Jacobs, owner of 183 Webster Road, and in recognition of the hardship created if the relief sought herein is not granted, limited detriment to the town of Webster, and upon consideration of all relevant factors, the Webster Town Board hereby allows the construction of the aforesaid black chain link and aluminum picket fences and gates, which will exist upon and encroach upon the easement affecting 183 Webster Road. Number 2, this resolution in no way applies to any other encroachment, violations, or relief sought by the owner, his successors, grantees, or assigns from any other building, structure, or zoning violation which may exist on such premises. Number 3, the relief is granted upon the following conditions. A, the proposed fence shall encroach upon the easement as proposed and shown on the survey map that Attorney Genesi will be getting from Mr.
Correct.
Jacobs and or the surveyor. Is it
Correct.
B, the proposed fence and gate shall not be expanded to further encroach on or in the easement, nor will it be moved from its permitted place within the easement as shown on the instrument survey map presented to the town board and is referenced above. C, upon the destruction or demolition of the aforesaid fence and gates or any part of them through natural cause or otherwise, the owner of the fence and gates will not reconstruct it without a specific resolution of the town board authorizing its replacement construction. D, the owner of the fence shall be solely responsible for any damage caused by or to the fence and or gates as a result of the town's maintenance of said easement, and the owner, his successors, and assigns further agree to indemnify, defend, and hold the town harmless from any and all loss of damage caused to or by the fence and or gates as a result of the work done by the town as a result of reasonable and necessary work done by the town within said easement. E, in the event of an emergency or if the town deems it necessary or imperative, the town will have the right to remove or take down all or any part of the fence and or gates without recourse by the owner or successor or assigned to such removal or taking down. And F, this resolution shall in no way affect the rights, if any, of any public entities or public utilities in or to said easement. The record owner of the proposed fence and gates in the town of Webster will enter into a license agreement incorporating all of the conditions of this resolution in form and substance as approved by the town attorney, and which will further provide the owner at his expense will record the license agreement in the Monroe County Clerk's office. That is the motion.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli?
Aye.
And now, Charlie?
Yes, I've given Mr. Jacobs my card, and you can send me the map, and I will get back in touch with you. I'll prepare the document, send it to you, tell you what the cost of filing will be, and we'll take care of the filing. Okay?
Okay. And when can I do the construction?
Well, don't do the construction until you have all of what Attorney Genesi just said. And I will say this, based on the last couple ones we've done, it usually is like 2 weeks. Am I pushing it?
No, it's up to him. If he can get me the map, we'll get it done. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 weeks is fine.
Do you need a rail seal copy or just with the survey?
No, I need a copy that's gonna have the information that we're going to put into the license agreement.
Absolutely.
And actually into the resolution, because that's missing. And secondly, we're going to attach the map to the license agreement. With the fence drawn in like you have now. So that this is gonna be on record, it'll be a public document, somebody can find it if they need it, it'll run with your property.
And then that's filed in with Monroe County?
Correct.
With the
And
deed.
you're gonna pay for that, for the file.
Right. I told it was like a $60 licensing fee?
They usually run 65 to 70.
Okay, that's fine. Fence is $5,000, so.
Yeah, so once that has been filed with the county, then you'll have to come into the building department to get the fence permit, and then you'll be able to resume and start construction.
Okay, so my schedule for Tuesday construction is not gonna work.
I would think.
Well, it depends on
probably
which
not.
Tuesday. If you're talking Tuesday, April 16th, you're gonna be good.
Okay, no, I pushed them back a couple times, so I'll let them know tomorrow that it's gonna be a couple more weeks.
I gotta tell you, I mean, if you can get Attorney Genesi the proper survey and, you know, we move pretty quick on these things, you know, so really,
Understood.
all right? Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. All right, next up, I'm gonna read this, resolution, because the HVAC annual maintenance bid process was pretty robust. We asked the bidders to quote a lot of different numbers, not just one number per se. So you'll understand as I read this, and certainly if we have to step back and have the board ask any questions, or if it's just a slam dunk to approve it, especially since I think we did go into great detail at this last week at the workshop. So without further ado, I'm going to make a motion to accept and award the town facilities HVAC annual maintenance bid to Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal at a first-year routine maintenance cost of $3,466, at a equipment inventory production of $7,051, for normal working hours hourly rate of $74 an hour, for repair work outside of normal maintenance, for overtime rate of repair work outside of normal maintenance of $78 an hour, for repair work at premium times, holidays, of $88 an hour, with a 10% discount off the MSRP for replacement parts, and on the $3,466 first-year routine maintenance agreement, if we opt for year 2, the town, that will be the same $3,466. And if we then opt for year 3, there will be a 3% increase over that $3,466.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Have you ever heard one read like that?
No?
I think it's a testament, Josh, to you and Dolores that it was robust. You asked them to really, the bidders to break it down pretty significantly. So, and I think that reaped us benefits that I think this is the best choice for the town. Okay, this one isn't going to be as wordy, and I
So
think I can't do it.
I'm going to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal for the town facility HVAC annual maintenance.
Second.
Councilman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
And Dolly, if you would just make a note there that obviously, usually it's at that point that we say that resolution of signing the contract for no more than X thousand dollars. Tie that into the previous resolution of all the different components of the bid that we accepted. Okay. Brayden, you're not here for the next item, are you?
What is it?
Well, it's the New York State Police Reform and Reinventive Collaborative to adopt the preliminary one. Okay. I didn't think so, but
I was here for the first set of items, but I didn't want to leave the party.
stick around. It's almost over. Well, obviously, we've had Chief Dennis Kohlmeyer was in. Was it last week? Was it March 4th? He was. Oh, that's right. He was in for our regular board meeting. I think he did a great job of explaining the process here, and they did a wonderful job, as far as I'm concerned, of putting together the town's Reform and Reinventive Collaborative document that has to be submitted to New York State by no later than April 1st. And as we all know, that's just step one. We'll move into stakeholder committee and all of the work that Chief will be doing with them as we move forward to a final version. But this, I'm going to make it a motion to adopt the New York State Police Reform and Reinventive Collaborative.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
And I'll say that from meeting with Chief Dennis Kohlmeyer the last couple of weeks, I would imagine that he'll be back in here within the few months as he describes what the stakeholder committee is kind of, reconnoitered, for lack of better terms, the preliminary one that is due by April 1st. When that'll be, I don't know, but I know Dennis wants to, have it done within the next 3 to 6 months. And I think a lot of that's because the product that he put together is pretty solid. I don't know how much is going to be moved off of that. So, alrighty. Next up, I make a motion to award the bid for procurement and installation of a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment for the Town of Webster Public Library to Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal, not to exceed $88,438.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Patty, can you help me again?
I can, or someone else can.
I'd move we authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for procurement and installation of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment for the Town of Webster Public Library with Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal, not to exceed $88,438.
Second.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. This is pretty late in the meeting. Usually, Paul, we get you early, but
Finally get to me.
can you put a ribbon around this whole library thing by what the next resolution is?
Yeah, this resolution relates to the previous two. It's basically to create a budget amendment. The library was fortunate enough to get a New York State grant to cover a little over $73,000 of the cost to install a HVAC unit. That was just approved. So 73 of the 88,000. So we had recorded, they actually advanced us $65,000, and we had recorded that in the library fund. So we decided that the installation should really be run as a capital project. So we moved the revenue to the capital project, H0228, which basically created a revenue shortfall in the library fund. So this resolution is to transfer money from appropriated fund balance to amend the library budget just to make up for that shortfall from transferring the funds from library fund to the capital projects fund. So it's an accounting thing.
Any questions?
I would move we amend the 2020 library fund appropriated fund balance budget in the amount of $48,850.
Second.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
And Councilman Abbott basically made it, we did not have any questions on that, and I'm glad, because pretty cut and dry.
Okay, I'll do this one.
Yeah, I bet you will.
I move to declare the following as asset transfer surplus from the Webster Police Department. A Glock model G45 pistol, serial number BLBD876. Go ahead. Second.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
It's for Joe Regan.
Yes, this is Joe's service revolver, and it's traditionally when our officers retire, they purchase their service revolver
Yeah,
at the going rate.
right, that's great. Well, that's it. That's our formal agenda tonight. We will have the lines open for a couple minutes here as we do our going around the room, just to see if anybody has comments. I say going around the room, there's no public here. It's the board, it's the department heads. So, Brayton, I've never seen you that quiet. Do you have anything that you want to say? Oh, boy. He's going to the podium. Well, I asked.
I wouldn't want anyone to be denied the pleasure.
Yeah.
3 quick items since I'm here. New York State enacted a new paid leave law for COVID vaccinations. The law was signed last Friday, the 12th, and became effective immediately. So we have distributed that information to department heads and employees on how to handle that procedure for paid leave for vaccination. The other thing is that Wednesday the 17th, public-facing government employees became eligible for COVID vaccination. And so our employees, there's not specialized or exclusive vaccination sessions, but they can go to either the county or state website and self-certify as public-facing government employees. And then the other thing is that in conjunction with Karen Buck, we have revamped how we post employment opportunities on the Town of Webster page, our webpage. So there is a job opportunity page that will list all of our full-time, part-time, and volunteer opportunities, and there's a link from it on the home page. So just visit ci.webster.ny.us and click on job opportunities, and it will take you to the job board. That is all.
Well, that was worth it. Good stuff. Paul, you have a microphone, so you don't have to go to the podium.
I do. I don't know if the public's aware, but the town has an annual audit. We have a CPA firm that comes in once a year and takes a good look at our books. For towns, an annual audit is optional, and we've always chosen to have one for many, many years. So the past couple of weeks I've been working with them to get through the field work. They're just about done, and we hope to have a report within a few weeks.
Great. Josh?
I would just like to thank the board for waiving the residency requirement, and I look forward to working with our new town engineer.
I bet. You've been holding down the fort for many months. Thanks.
Yep. One more month.
Charlie?
Nothing to report right now. We'll see how things go.
No getting into trouble tonight?
Yeah.
Bill, you gonna get in trouble for Charlie?
No.
All right.
You're looking at trouble.
Oh, boy.
No, just Tuesday morning, we had our kickoff of our first meeting with the joint town village work committee for the regional sewer plant. We just started.
God bless you. Good luck. We're all counting on you. Patty?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. And Dolly?
Well, on April 1st, the interest on unpaid taxes will go from 3% to 4.5%.
Okay. And I've already said enough, so without further ado, nobody has called in. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks for coming.